Welcome, friend, to Nexora's land, where grammar's simple and easy to understand. With rhymes and fun, we'll help you see that English is fun. Come learn with me.
Okay, let's dive into something foundational today. We have this really fascinating source in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
It tackles the basics of English grammar, the parts of speech, but in a very, well, almost lyrical way. It uses rhymes, clear examples, makes it feel accessible.
It really does. And what's great about it, I think, is that it takes grammar, which, let's face it, can seem a bit daunting, and kind of turns it into a puzzle, something you can actually put together pretty easily.
Yeah, like a map.
Exactly, like a map for figuring out how words work together. It gives you a clear framework.
Right. So our mission here in this deep dive is basically to unpack that map.
No.
We want to pull out the core ideas about English grammar from this source and really explore why they matter.
Make them easy to grasp.
Yeah, make them clear, show how they all fit together to actually build meaning.
And the source jumps right in, defining grammar with that really good analogy, the traffic rules for words.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
It is. Because think about it, no traffic rules, cars crash. Same with words, sort of, without grammar giving structure, meaning just falls apart.
Total chaos.
Yeah. Grammar is what helps our thoughts, shine through clearly.
Yeah.
Helps sentences line up properly.
And they really hammer this home straight away with that contrast example. Dog runs boy quickly.
Compared to the dog quickly runs to the boy.
Big difference.
Huge difference. The first one, okay, you've got the words dog runs boy quickly, but the order, the structure, it's a mess. You have no idea what's really happening.
Who's doing what to whom?
Exactly. Is the dog running? Is the boy running? Towards each other. Away. But the second sentence, because it follows the rules, subject, the dog, then the verb runs with the adverb quickly modifying it, and the prepositional phrase to the boy showing direction.
Suddenly it's crystal clear.
Right. The rules aren't just there for fun. They're essential for making sense, for getting your point across accurately.
So why does this matter to you, listening right now? Well, understanding these rules, this grammar, it's basically your guide, your toolkit.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you the power to say and write exactly what you mean. Clearly, effectively, you get control over your communication.
It really is the bedrock. I mean, vocabulary gives you the bricks, sure, but grammar, that's the mortar, the blueprint.
Oh, I like that, bricks and mortar.
Yeah. You need both to build anything solid, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's just a simple sentence or, a whole complex argument.
Makes sense. And speaking of building blocks, this source really digs into what it calls the 8 fundamental components, the parts of speech.
Yeah, this is where the guide spends a lot of time. It goes pretty deep into each one with those examples, the explanations, and like you said, those catchy rhymes to help things stick.
And memorable, definitely.
The core idea being that words aren't just random. They each have a specific job, a role to play in building a sentence. They work together like a team.
A team creating a thought. All right, let's jump into the first player on that team, the first building block the source lays out. Nouns.
Okay, nouns. And the definition here is just beautifully simple. Nouns are the names of people, places, or things.
Can't get much clearer than that. And their job, according to the guide,
To tell us who or what something is about. They're the entities, the concepts, the actual stuff we're talking about.
focus points.
Right. And the examples cover a good range. Ravi, that's a person. Table, a thing. Mountain high, okay, that could be a place or maybe a concept, but it acts like a thing here. Dog, balloon, butterfly things or animals. Book, pizza things. Mom, a person.
Yeah, it hits the main categories, and we see them in action in those simple sentences they give. My name is Ravi.
Ravi's the noun.
This is a book.
Book is the noun.
I love pizza.
Pizza, the noun. The core who or what in each case.
And the source uses repetition pretty effectively, too. There's that example. Ravi has a pizza on the table.
Okay, let's break that one down. Ravi has a pizza on the table. If nouns are people, places, things, what do we spot?
Well, Ravi's easy. Name of a person, noun 1.
Got it.
Pizza, that's a thing, right? You eat it, definitely a noun.
Noun 2.
And table, a physical object. A thing, also a noun.
3 nouns, all in one little sentence.
3 key anchors right there. And, okay, this brings up a really crucial point. Why is identifying the who or what, the nouns, why is that so foundational? How does knowing the noun help us make sense of the rest?
Well, think about it like this. The noun is often the subject. The thing, everything else kind of revolves around. It's the actor doing the action or the thing being described or the item being located.
Right.
If you don't know who or what the sentence is about, then all the actions are descriptions. They don't really mean anything. They have no context.
Like saying has a old on the doesn't work.
Exactly. It's meaningless until you plug in Ravi, pizza, and table.
Mm-hmm.
The nouns give the sentence its concrete reference points. They tell us what the story is, even in a super simple form.
They provide the essential context. The other words need something to connect to. Without nouns, it's just abstract actions floating around.
Pretty much. It's the difference between just hearing runs quickly and actually knowing who is running quickly. Oh, the dog runs quickly. Now it makes sense. Gotcha.
So nouns are the starting point for meaning. They identify the players or the topics.
Exactly. And, just to add a little bit more detail, the source's examples even hint at different types of nouns, like Ravi is a proper noun, a specific name, always capitalized.
Ah, right.
Whereas pizza or table, those are common nouns, general names for things. And you also have concrete nouns, things you can touch like table versus abstract nouns like happiness or freedom, although those aren't in this specific list here.
So even within noun, there are layers.
There are layers, but the core function is naming. And that rhyme captures it well.
Ravi, table, mountain high, dog, balloon, or butterfly. Kitschy.
It is. Okay, so moving on smoothly from the words that name things.
Mm-hmm.
The source brings in the second building block, pronouns. And it connects them directly back to nouns.
Yeah, it calls them language friends. It used to stop repeating nouns again and again. That's a nice way to put it. They basically step in for a noun once it's clear who or what we're talking about.
They're substitutes, essentially. Instead of saying the noun over and over, you swap in a pronoun. And this makes a huge difference to the flow of language. Readability improves dramatically.
And the basic examples given are he, she, it, they, common subject pronouns.
Right. And the guide shows how they work. Ravi is tired becomes.
He is tired. He replaces Ravi.
The book is heavy becomes.
It is heavy. It replaces book.
My mom is kind becomes.
He is kind. She replaces my mom.
Simple, but so important. I mean, can you imagine trying to talk or write without pronouns?
Oh, it would be awful. Like, Sarah went to the park and Sarah saw a squirrel. Sarah thought the squirrel was cute, so Sarah. Ugh, it's so clunky.
Painfully clunky. But use pronouns, and suddenly it's, Sarah went to the park, and she saw a squirrel. She thought it was cute, so she tried to take a picture of it. So much better.
Night and day.
Pronouns are just essential for cohesion, natural rhythm in language. They point back to the noun that was mentioned before, the antecedent linking ideas, without all that awkward repetition.
So thinking about that, how do they really make language smoother, more efficient? Living up to that phrase, making your sentence a smoother space, what would we actually lose if we didn't have them?
Well, it's not just efficiency, though that's huge. You'd also lose clarity, especially in more complex sentences.
Yeah.
Imagine you're talking about, say, the large red apple sitting on the counter.
Okay.
If you had to repeat the large red apple sitting on the counter every single time you referred to it, it would be exhausting. But using it after the first mention isn't just smoother.
It keeps the focus.
Right. And it prevents confusion if, say, another apple suddenly appeared. Pronouns let us keep track of who or what we're talking about without constantly restating the full description. This is absolutely crucial for building longer thoughts, paragraphs, connecting ideas.
Otherwise, it would just sound like a really basic list, like a children's primer or something.
Exactly. They prevent our language from sounding robotic or overly simplistic. They allow for that connected, fluid expression, building on ideas without getting totally bogged down and repeating the subjects.
Vital. Got it. And the source's rhyme nails that function. He, she, it, they take the name's place, making your sentence a smoother space.
Perfect. Okay, next up, verbs, often called the action words, as the source says.
Right, the words that show what's happening.
Yes, they show what's being done, but the source is good here because it also includes words that show a state of being, so they're not always action in the physical sense.
Ah, okay. So dynamic or static, the core engine of the sentence, maybe.
That's a good way to think about it. The action examples are easy. Run, jump, sing, eat, play, nap. Things you can picture someone doing.
Physical or mental activities.
But then the source also includes state verbs, or sometimes they're called linking verbs. Is, are, was, were.
Okay, how are they different?
Well, they don't show the subject performing an action. Instead, they connect the subject to, like, a description or a condition. In she is happy, is links she to the state or condition of being happy. She isn't doing is.
Ah, okay. It links she and happy. Got it. Let's look at the action verbs in the source's sentences. I eat rice.
Eat is the action. What I do.
He runs fast.
Runs is the action. What he does.
She sleeps early.
Sleeps is the action.
Yeah.
Which he does. The verb tells us what the subject, I, he, she is doing.
Makes sense. And for the state verb example, she is happy.
Right. Isn't something she does. It describes her state. It's the link.
But the source has repetition examples too. She is happy, again, the state verb, and he eats lunch.
Eats clearly an action verb there.
Okay, so this brings up a really important question, I think. The source mentions both action and state verbs. Can you actually have a complete sentence in English without any kind of verb? And why are they seen as so central to the meaning?
That's a great question. And, well, it's pretty much impossible to have a complete sentence, a full thought in English without a verb. I mean, even a command like stop has the verb stop, even if the subject you is implied.
Right. Just saying dog isn't a sentence. It's just a noun.
Exactly. In standard English, a complete sentence needs a subject and a predicate. And the absolute core of that predicate is almost always a verb. It's the verb that tells us something about the subject, what it's doing, what state it's in, what's happening to it.
It's the engine driving things forward.
It really is. It makes the collection of words into a complete thought, an event, a statement. Without a verb, you usually just have a phrase or maybe a list, but no clear action or state connecting things.
They give the sentence its life, don't they? Its activity or its state of existence. And choosing the right verb makes such a difference, like he walked versus he shuffled versus he stormed.
Oh, absolutely. The verb choice carries so much meaning about the manner of the action, not just the action itself. Verbs are packed with information about the event, the feeling, the condition. They are absolutely fundamental.
And the source's rhyme captures that essential role. I run, I play, I eat, I nap. Verbs are the words that fill your gap.
Oh.
They fill the gap to make a complete statement.
Nicely put.
Oh.
Okay, next. Words that add the color and detail. Adjectives. The source says they tell about a noun style.
I like that style. It's a good way to think about it. They describe the nouns, right? Give us more info about the people, places, things.
Exactly. Examples are straightforward. Small, big, red, blue, happy. Qualities, attributes.
And the source shows them modifying nouns directly. A small cat. Small tells us about the cat.
The happy boy. Happy tells us about the boy.
A red balloon. Red tells us about the balloon. They immediately sharpen the image of the noun in your mind.
Right. And the repetition example they give is, it's a small red apple.
Ah, okay. So here we have small and red, both describing the same noun, apple.
Exactly. Which shows you can stack adjectives up to paint a really detailed picture.
Okay, so let's dig into that a bit. How exactly do adjectives paint the picture for you, like the rhyme says? What's the real difference in meaning in the image you get between just saying a cat versus a small cat? How do they add that richness?
Well, adjectives are our primary descriptive tools for nouns. A cat. Okay, it's a general idea. But a small cat. Immediately, you get a specific characteristic size. You start picturing maybe a kitten or just a smaller breed.
Right, it narrows it down.
Exactly. And then if you add more, a small, fluffy orange cat, the image becomes much more precise, much more vivid for the listener or reader. They let us distinguish between all the different possible versions of that noun.
They give us specificity, where the noun by itself might be too general. They bring in sensory details, sometimes feelings, even judgments, like an old house feels different from a crumbling house or a historic house.
Completely different connotations, all achieved by changing the adjective modifying the same noun, house. Adjectives make our language so much more expressive and precise.
Whether they come right before the noun, like the happy girl, or after a linking verb like she is happy, their job is the same.
Right, to modify or describe a noun or pronoun, adding layers of meaning, helping the listener understand specific qualities. They are absolutely like the paintbrushes we use with words.
Yeah, descriptive brushes. And that rhyme nails it. Big or small, red or blue, adjectives paint the picture for you.
Perfect. So after describing the nouns, we need words to describe the actions, the verbs, which brings us to adverbs.
Okay, adverbs.
And their function, according to the source, is to tell us how, when, or where an action is done.
Okay, so key difference. Adjectives modify nouns. Adverbs mostly modify verbs. Actions or states of being.
That's the primary job, yes. The examples given are slowly, quickly, very well. These give hints about the manner, how, or maybe the degree.
Let's look at the sentences. She sings beautifully. Beautifully tells us how she sings. Modifies sings.
He runs quickly. Quickly tells us how he runs. Modifies runs.
They eat slowly. Slowly tells us how they eat. Modifies eat.
And you notice that slowly ending on all of those.
Yeah, very common for adverbs.
It is. though not all adverbs end in slowly. Words like fast, which can also be an adjective confusingly, or here, there, now, then, often, those are all adverbs too.
Right. The repetition examples in the source stick with the FLI ones, though. He speaks clearly, clearly tells us how. She dances beautifully, beautifully tells us how. Again, modifying the verb.
Okay, so this leads to a good discussion point. Adjectives describe nouns, adverbs describe verbs, mostly. How does adding an adverb actually change the meaning or the feeling of that verb? How do they add that extra care or magic spell the source mentions?
They definitely refine the action, don't they? Like, he runs. Okay, that's the action, but he runs quickly. That tells you the speed, changes the whole intensity in your mind.
Or she spoke, just the action, but she spoke softly, versus she spoke angrily, versus she spoke hesitantly.
Completely different feelings. The adverb totally changes how you interpret that action of speaking. It adds the manner, the tone.
Exactly. Adverbs give us crucial context about the verb. They answer those how, when, where questions about the action itself. He arrived yesterday. When? She looked everywhere. Where? They finish easily. How? Each adverb pins down a specific piece of information, modifying our understanding of the verb.
And as you hinted, they don't only modify verbs. We saw that earlier, didn't we? In the practice sentence, she is very fast.
Right, let's break that down again. Fast is the adjective describing she, but what's very doing.
It's describing fast. It tells us how fast, the degree of fastness.
Exactly. And a very is an adverb. The source even listed very well as an adverb example. So here the adverb very is modifying the adjective fast, intensifying it.
So adverbs can modify verbs, but also adjectives.
And even other adverbs. You could say he runs very quickly. Quickly is an adverb modifying runs, and very is another adverb modifying quickly.
Wow, okay. So they're quite versatile modifiers.
They really are. That's where the magic spell idea comes in, I think. They add nuance, intensity, specificity, not just to actions, but sometimes to the descriptions themselves. They're powerful little words for precision.
Makes sense. And the rhyme captures that transformative quality. Slowly, quickly, very well. Adverbs add the magic spell.
Nicely done. Okay, next category, prepositions. The source describes these as words that show us the place.
Right. They often deal with location, direction, time. They show relationships between words, connecting a noun or pronoun to something else in the sentence.
The classic examples from the source focus on place, under, on, at, in, by, near, spatial relationships.
And we see them working in sentences like, the book is on the table. On shows where the book is relative to the table.
I'm at school. At shows the location.
He is under the tree. Under shows the location. They pinpoint position.
And the repetition example fits this pattern. The phone is on the bed. Again, on establishes that spatial link between phone and bed.
Okay, so the source heavily emphasizes place, which is definitely a major function, but thinking a bit broader. How do these little words, these prepositions, connect sentence parts to show other kinds of relationships, like time? And why are they so crucial for the actual structure of a sentence?
Well, they really are like little linguistic bridges. They connect a noun or pronoun, which we call the object of the preposition, to some other word in the sentence. And the whole group of words, preposition plus object plus maybe modifiers, forms a prepositional phrase.
Okay, like on the table is a prepositional phrase.
Exactly. And that whole phrase usually acts like an adjective or an adverb, adding crucial context. So while location is super common, the box under the table, they also show time at noon during the meeting before sunrise.
Ah, right. Time relationships, too.
And direction, walking towards the light, jump into the water. And even other relationships like purpose or agency, a gift for you, written by her, tired of waiting.
So they're doing a lot more than just showing place. In the book is on the table, on connects book and table spatially, and the phrase on the table acts like an adverb telling us where the book is.
Right. And then we meet at noon, at connects meet, and noon in time, and at noon acts like an adverb telling us when we meet.
Got it. They set up these vital connections, adding detail and structure, and you really can't build complex sentences without them, can you? Try saying, he went the store, or the meeting is 3 p.m.
Doesn't work. You need a to the store at 3 p.m. They seem like small words, but they carry huge structural importance. They glue nouns and pronouns into the larger sentence structure.
Essential for context, space, time, all sorts of relationships. And the source's rhyme, focusing on place, is a good entry point. In, on, at where things are, by the park, or near the car.
Exactly. Okay, next building block. The words that act like actual glue. Conjunctions. The source says they help you glue things together.
Connectors, joining words, phrases, clauses, even whole sentences sometimes. They let us build more complex structures.
The examples given are the common coordinating conjunctions and but or so. There are a few others like for, nor yet. These connect things that are grammatically equal or similar.
Let's see them in action from the source. I am tired, so I will rest. So connects two complete ideas, showing a cause and effect. Because I'm tired, therefore I'll rest.
And I like tea and coffee. Here, enudo just joins two nouns, tea and coffee, listing two similar things that are liked.
The source's own rhyme gives a great example, too. I want tea and I want toast, but I'm late. I miss the most.
Let's unpack that rhyme. And but joins the two things one. I want tea, I want toast. Simple addition. But then but introduces a contrast. Wanting tea and toast clashes with the reality of being late.
Right, but signals that shift, that opposition. And the repetition example is straightforward. I like apples and bananas. And joins the two nouns.
Okay, so big picture. How do conjunctions let us move beyond just short, choppy sentences?
Yeah.
And how do different ones like and versus but versus so actually change the relationship between the parts they connect?
Well, without them, our language would be incredibly basic, wouldn't it? Just disconnected statements. I went to the store, I bought milk, I bought bread, I was hungry. It sounds so robotic.
Yeah, very skeleted.
Conjunctions create flow. They show the logical links between ideas. I went to the store and I bought milk and bread. And links similar actions or items because I was hungry. Okay, because is a different type, a subordinating conjunction, but it shows the reason.
Right. And adds things together. But shows a contrast or exception. So shows a result or consequence. Or presents a choice. Each conjunction signals a specific type of relationship, making the combined sentence much richer and more meaningful than the separate parts.
They're essential for building longer sentence types, like compound sentences where you join two main ideas, often with a comma and one of those and, but, so words.
Or complex sentences, where you join a main idea with a less important one using words like because, although, since, while. Conjunctions allow for all that nuance, showing how different thoughts relate.
They really do glue our thoughts together coherently, and the rhyme nails it. And, but, or, so they help you glue words and sentences old or new.
Okay, final building block, the ones that add those sudden bursts of feeling. Interjections. The source calls them expressive words.
Yeah, they show strong emotion, right? Surprise, shock, happiness, pain.
Exactly. Examples. Oh, wow, yikes, hooray.
And you usually see them set apart, often with an exclamation mark, like in the examples. Wow, that's amazing. Ouch, that hurt. Yay, you did it. They kind of stand alone.
The repetition example is, wow, you are smart. Same pattern.
All right, so final point on the parts of speech then. The source says interjections save the day. How do they pack that immediate emotional punch? And are they, like, grammatically necessary in the sentence? How do they differ structurally?
Well, they're incredibly efficient at signaling emotion. Instead of taking the time to say, I am currently experiencing a great deal of surprise and admiration regarding that fact, you just say,
wow.
Exactly. The feeling is immediate, forceful. They cut right to the emotional chase. They add personality, intensity that might otherwise take several words or a whole different sentence structure to convey, like verbal shortcuts for feelings.
And structurally. Yeah, they are pretty different, aren't they? You can usually just lift them out, and the rest of the sentence still makes grammatical sense. That's amazing. That hurt. You did it. You are smart. They all work fine on their own.
Right. Interjections don't usually connect grammatically to the other words in the same way that, say, an adjective connects to a noun or an adverb to a verb. They're kind of layered on top. They add emotional context, but the core grammatical structure often stands without them.
So they exist slightly outside the main framework, serving that practical purpose of expressing immediate feeling.
That's a good way to put it. They save the day by instantly communicating that emotional state, which can be really important for understanding the speaker's whole perspective.
They're like the exclamation points of spoken language. And the rhyme gets it. Oh, wow, yikes, hooray, interjections save the day.
And there we have them. The 8 fundamental parts of speech, as laid out in this guide. Nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, and interjections.
Phew, okay. And the source helpfully includes that vocabulary breakdown section too, like a quick recap.
Yeah, it's a nice little cheat sheet just summarizing the core definitions we've been talking through. Let's quickly run through it.
Okay.
Noun, a name of a person, place, or thing. An action or state word, like eat, run, is.
Adjective.
Describes a noun. Big red, happy.
Adverb.
Describes a verb, mostly. Quickly, slowly.
Preposition.
Shows place or time. On, in, at.
Conjunction.
Joins parts. And, but, so.
And interjection.
Shows emotion. Wow, ouch.
Got it. A solid summary right there. Reinforces the basics.
And then, crucially, the guide moves into practice time. Because, knowing the definitions is one thing.
Seeing them work together is where it clicks.
Exactly. Seeing how these individual blocks combine in real sentences. That's the key.
All right, let's take those sentences they provide and really dissect them, word by word, see how the parts interact. First one. The happy girl sings beautifully.
Okay, let's break it down. The av. It's the. It's an article. Now, articles a, and the aren't always listed as one of the main 8 parts of speech in simplified systems like this one.
But they're super important.
Absolutely. They're determiners. They signal that a noun is coming and tell us if it's specific, they, or general. A, an. So the points to our noun.
Okay, next is happy. What's happy doing? It's describing the girl. Words that describe nouns are
Adjective. So happy is our adjective here.
and girl. That's a person. Female human. That's our
Noun so far. Article, the, adjective, happy, noun, girl. That whole chunk, the happy girl, is the subject of the sentence.
right. Then sings. What's she doing? She's singing. That's an action. Words showing action are.
Verbs. Sings is the verb.
Okay, last word. Beautifully. Ends in sil. It tells us how she sings. It modifies the verb sings, so beautifully must be.
An adverb. Perfect.
So the structure is article, adjective, noun, subject, plus verb, plus adverb, modifying the verb. The happy girl sings beautifully, and you can really see how the adjective happy refines the noun, and the adverb beautifully refines the verb. Gives a much richer picture than just the girl sings.
Definitely. Okay, next practice sentence. Wow, she is very fast.
Starts with a bang. Wow. That's one of those expressive words showing emotion, the guide called them.
Interjections. Set apart, exclamation mark. Wow is the interjection.
Got it. Then she takes the place of a noun, referring to the person, that's a,
Pronoun. She is the pronoun.
then is. Not really an action, but it connects she to the description coming next. The guide listed is as a.
State verb or linking verb connects the subject to its description. Is the verb.
Okay. Now, fast. What does fast describe? It describes she. It tells us a quality about her. Words describing nouns or pronouns are.
Adjectives. So fast is the adjective here.
Right. Which leaves just very. What's very doing? It's not describing she. It's not describing is. It seems to be describing fast. Like how fast? To what degree?
Exactly. And we talk about this. Adverbs can modify adjectives. Very intensifies fast. The guide even had very well as an adverb example. So very, here is an adverb modifying the adjective fast.
Excellent. So the breakdown is interjection plus pronoun plus verb linking plus adverb modifying adjective plus adjective. Wow, she is very fast. That sentence really shows the flexibility of adverbs, doesn't it? Not just modifying verbs. Adds that intensity.
It does. Good example. Okay, final practice sentence. I like coffee and tea.
My I stands in for the speaker. Takes the place of a noun. That's a.
Pronoun is the pronoun, the subject.
Then like. A feeling, a preference, kind of an internal state or action. The guide listed eat, run is as verbs. Like seems to fit that role, expressing something the subject feels or does. So like is the verb.
Makes sense. What about coffee? Thing you drink. That's
Yeah.
and it's connecting coffee to whatever comes next. Words that join things are.
Conjunctions. And is the conjunction.
Which leads tea.
Yeah.
Also a thing you drink. Another.
Yeah.
Perfect. So the structure is pronoun, subject plus verb plus noun plus conjunction plus noun. I like coffee and tea. The conjunction and joins the two nouns, coffee and tea, which are both objects of the verb like.
Yeah, these practice sentences, even though they're simple, they really do show how these different word types slot together, following the rules, creating meaning. It's the fundamental pattern.
It really is. And the guide brings it back home with that other rhyme. Parts of speech help us speak. Clear and strong, not weak. Connecting the knowledge back to the practical benefit.
Which flows nicely into the wrap-up, summarizing the main takeaways.
Yeah, first, just reinforcing that core idea. Grammar provides the structure. It builds meaning, stops that word crash we talked about earlier.
Right. And second, confirming we've covered these 8 fundamental parts of speech, the building blocks from this guide.
And third, really emphasizing that understanding these blocks, knowing their roles, that's the key to clear, effective communication. It gives you control, agency over your own language.
It answers the so what question. Why learn these terms? Because they're the language we use to talk about language, to understand how sentences work, and crucially, how to make our own sentences work better.
Exactly. And the source ends with